Welcome to the Four Birdies podcast.
La la la.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Four Birdies podcast. Tonight, we're talking about the projected 2024 first round draft. This is going to be a mock that we think will probably happen in your league if you're playing PPR. Alex, you got any thoughts on what we're doing here?
Yeah, this is the official list. So we compiled it. We put all the numbers together. So if you diverge from this list, then you could be stupid in the head. If you haven't already, then do like and subscribe. I don't want to offend you right away, but I guess I already have. So we're just going to move forward with that. Hope you're off to a great new year. It was just my birthday. So that's why it says birthday boy. I am 40 years young, Dave, and you are still a grower. You're still a grower, Dave.
I'm still growing. I'm 38 right now. And like it says, I'm trying to grow the show. And you were supposed to, kind of have a similar moniker, but you didn't do it. But that's okay. Anyway. Yeah. Let's get right into it. We're going to do the first round mock that we think will happen in most leagues in 2024. So we're looking ahead based on performance this year, based on age, based on systems, based on projections. Yeah. Yep. So this is how we think the first round is going to go next year.
And we're starting from 10 and we're going to 9 and 8 and so on, right? That's the format that we've established.
We're going to tease it a little bit. Yeah, we're going to start at the 10 spot, and that's going to be your pick. We kind of alternated this a little bit, but Alex, you're going to go first with the 10th overall pick.
Now at number 10, Dave, you said he might go later in the first round, probably more in the second round, a lot of people. But, the Lions got scoffed at for picking up Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round, and it's turned out to be pretty good. Sometimes you just go get the guy that you need, that you want, and who you can trust, and that's Mike Evans. He's on his 10th or 11th season straight of putting up 1,000 yards. He's so reliable, and it doesn't matter who he's got in that quarterback situation. It just seems like he's catching touchdowns and long pickup plays, baby.
Mike Evans is disrespected, underrated, and dismissed every single year, and he still finds a way to put up stats. And people thought Baker Mayfield was not going to be able to get him the ball, but, that was proven to be false. I still think Mike Evans at number 10 maybe is a reach. If somebody drafts him in the first round, more power to him. I kind of think he's more of a second round guy. Maybe.
I love how you're disrespecting him. You just talked about he was disrespected. Now you're disrespecting him.
How many more years in a row? Like if you're like flipping a coin and you have like 10 heads in a row, eventually you're going to think a tails is going to come up. So I like Mike Evans. He's one of those players. He had a phenomenal year this year. And if you didn't have him on your team, he probably caused you to lose if you played against him. But if he ends up getting drafted number 10 overall, I wouldn't have anything to say against it because he's proven time and time again that he deserves to be there. I just think that he doesn't get the respect he deserves. We'll see. I'm excited to see if he gets drafted in the first round next year.
Yeah. Okay, Dave. Well, let's move on to number 9 since you've dished out all the disrespect for the evening so far. Why don't we move on to number 9?
Number 9 is a running back, and he's a running back who is supremely talented, and he's super young. The only knock on him right now is that he's playing for a bad organization, that they can't figure out their quarterback situation, and they can't seem to move the ball. But geez, like when he gets the rock, he can make plays. We're talking running back of the New York Jets, Breece Hall. He's number 9 on the list.
Now, Dave, you said that the only thing that's really holding him back is that horrendous offensive line, which is offensive, but he's injury but
I don't think he's injury prone. He had an injury
prone, but
he's not injury prone yet.
But he's been injured.
Every player has probably had an injury at some point. So I don't label Breece Hall as injury prone. And when you draft a player, obviously you have to weigh the risk. Is this player going to get hurt? And is it going to be worth the risk if he's not hurt? How well can he perform? Breece Hall almost has to go in the first round of drafts next year.
Yeah, I like it. I like the pick, but I just want to mention that. Dave, we got to move on to number 8. I got number 8 here. We said we got to throw a quarterback on the list. We have to because those are the rules because this is the official list. Jalen Hurts. It's not Josh Allen, Dave. And now I'm kind of wondering, I thought Josh Allen put up some more fantasy points than Jalen Hurts this year. So, Dave, how did we land on Jalen Hurts exactly?
Jalen Hurts is kind of like Josh Allen in the sense that they're both cheat codes, but I give the edge to Jalen Hurts. I feel like his weapons are a little bit stronger, and he doesn't throw as many interceptions, and Jalen Hurts doesn't have as many down games as Josh Allen. So yeah, Josh Allen did finish as the number 1 quarterback this year, but he had some big games and he had some down games. So Jalen Hurts is very consistent. I don't disagree with Jalen Hurts going in the first round. Maybe last year or the year before it would have been somebody like Patrick Mahomes. Typically, you don't get very many first round quarterback picks. The only thing that would knock Jalen Hurts out of the top 10 is if he says, I'm not going to do the tush push anymore. If they outlaw it or ban it, or he just says, you know what, it's just unnecessary injury risk, we're just going to hand the ball off more. If he said that, I would take him out of the top 10. I would take him out of the first round. But if he's going to continue 1-yard touchdowns, then you got to have him. You got to have him as the first round quarterback.
Are you saying that the only difference between Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen is a tush push brotherly shove?
It's a tie. It's a difference maker. Yeah, it's like I said, Josh Allen is more likely to have a bad game and not do anything. Jalen Hurts, I feel like, is going to be a little bit more consistent, and like I said, has better weapons. And I don't know if Stephon Diggs is going to be a Bill next year, and they might have figured out that the run game works too in Buffalo.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, so for those reasons, I would knock Josh Allen out of the first round. He'll be a second or third round pick, though.
Okay, Dave, let's move on to number 7. Who do you have there?
At number 7, we're going to pick a receiver. It's going to be Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver A.J. Brown. Actually finished number 5 overall among players in the skill position set. So he's a no-brainer first round pick.
Yeah, 100%. When you're playing against him in a league and you just know he's going to put up a bunch of numbers. He's also thrown it to Devontae Smith and that kind of stuff. But I mean, A.J. Brown is such a huge target. For Hurts to be able to roll out and then give Brown enough time to run downfield, he can just launch it and then connect for a long touchdown. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I don't see A.J. Brown slowing down next year whatsoever.
I think it's a great pick right
He's
there.
in his prime. He's in a great offense. He's got a great quarterback. So he should be a first-round pick easily.
Yeah. Okay, Dave, we're moving on to number 6. At number 6, this guy was one of the top 3 drafted players this past year, and I picked him, actually. I picked him at number 3. We're talking about Cincinnati Bengals, wide receiver, Jamar Chase. I drafted him. I had high hopes, and he started off pretty slowly. I traded him. I do believe it was after week 4, and then the next week he put up about 52.3 points, somewhere in that ballpark. And I didn't lose that week, actually. I was pretty shocked. I was very lucky, but he got hurt. That was a lot of what was going on. He had some injuries, and he was banged up throughout the year. So if he has a little different year, then maybe we've got him at number 4 instead of number 6 here. But he's a great player. He's going to put up great numbers for you.
Yeah, Jamar Chase has to go in the first round. You could argue, is he late first round, mid first round, early first round? I think he probably burned a lot of people this year because of his down year and, the fact that Burrow didn't play and he struggled with injuries. But people have short memories. They're going to just think like name recognition alone, he's going to go in the first round. I personally would be hesitant to choose him at 6 overall. I'd probably take A.J. Brown, but I could see you make an argument either way. So number 6, Jamar Chase. So that brings us to number 5, the 5th pick in the first round. That's going to have to go to Detroit Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. He has had a fabulous year, and he's shown that he's a wide receiver 1 all day. So this round here that we've got, you'll see that there's a lot of wide receivers. I think the league is shifting more back to wide receivers and how valuable they are. It was not a year they're running back. And so next year, people will remember that. They can't use an early pick on a running back and get enough production for the most part. There's exceptions to that rule. Amon-Ra St. Brown was the 4th overall point scorer on the year. So
skill position, yeah.
Yeah, for skill position. So yeah, number 5, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think most people would agree with that.
Yeah. Number 4, Dave. I don't know if I would have put him here, actually, but we've got Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson, and he's electric, of course. We just watched it, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. The Lions play him twice a year. They're going to play him again this Sunday for the season finale, and we got to try to guard Justin Jefferson. It probably makes our D-backs look a little bit worse than they are because he's so talented, but he was also injured this year as well, and in our league, he was drafted number 2 overall. In some leagues, he might have been drafted 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to be in the top 4, top 3, but this year he probably is number 4. What do you think?
Totally agree with it. If you're at the number 4 spot and you get Justin Jefferson, you're going to be doing cartwheels. I don't think people are going to draft him number 1 overall just because there's arguably more consistent options out there. And yeah, he had a down year and it's not his fault, but the quarterback play in Minnesota might be a question mark. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is going to be back or who they're going to have, but Jefferson has kind of shown it doesn't really matter too much who his quarterback is. He's still going to feast, but I think people are still going to be a little bit hesitant because of that lengthy injury that he had. So yeah, I mean, top 5 all day. If you get him at number 4, that's great. You can pick him earlier if you want him, but he's definitely first round, no brainer.
Yeah, and he should be healthy by the start of next season. Let's hope. Dave, who do you have at number 3?
So number 3, Tyreek Hill, wide receiver, Miami Dolphins. He's had a potentially record-breaking year this year. I don't see him slowing down physically. Scheme-wise, they get him the ball. The team is doing pretty good. I know they've struggled against quality teams. I don't care how they do as far as the postseason, but for fantasy purposes, next year, Tyreek Hill should be rolling again. So Tua and him have a great connection. Tyreek Hill is just so electric. It's really tough for defenses to stop him. And as long as physically he's okay, as long as he doesn't suffer like a unforeseen injury, I don't see him slowing down. So if you can get him at the 3rd overall pick in the first round, I think you'd be super happy. I think in most rounds, in most drafts this past year, he probably went in the later first round. I think people are finally figuring out this guy's a cheat code. If you have him on your team, you're probably going to win almost every single matchup you have him on the field.
Yeah, you're right. Dave, we're moving on to number 2 here. Another electric player. He is a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowgirls. I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb. Now, he wasn't drafted, at least in our league, he wasn't drafted in the top 5, top 6, top 7. They just didn't know what CeeDee Lamb was going to do. He had some incredible games where he just put out absurd numbers. Again, the Lions were on the bad end of that last week where he had 200 plus receiving yards, and they've got some other good receivers on the Dallas Cowgirls receiving core. But CeeDee Lamb, he's young, and that might be why he's number 2 ahead of Tyreek Hill, because he's younger. And I feel like he's just right at the cusp of breaking out and continuing to break out.
Yeah, he's had a fabulous year. This is the best year he's ever had, and he set some records on the way. I don't think he went in the first round in enough leagues, and I think you could probably get him in the second round in a lot of leagues, and that would have been a great return on your investment. Dak looks to him often. McCarthy has found unique ways to get him the ball. They're giving him rushing attempts. They've started to kind of finally figure out he's their best player, and they're not shy about peppering him with targets. And if you have a wide receiver that's going to get 10 plus targets a game, he should be a first round pick.
That's wild.
Years ago, the frustrating thing about CeeDee Lamb was they would not get him involved. And it's what are you doing? I think next year, yeah, he should be probably 2 overall. If CeeDee Lamb falls outside of the first 4 picks, I would be stunned. It would just be the only way that happens is if Dak Prescott somehow leaves and they don't have a quarterback, or he's going to face an injury. But if Prescott's healthy and CeeDee Lamb's healthy, he's probably going to go top 4. He won't fall outside the top 4.
Yeah. Dave, I'm tired of talking about this team. Let's move on to number 1. Who do you have?
So if you're a fan of the show or you've ever listened to anything we've said, you probably have a good idea of who's going to go number 1 overall. And that's the 5th ranked player out of all players, which is amazing because this guy's not a quarterback. We're talking 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey. 5th overall as far as total points scored. 1st overall, obviously, as a running back. Every single week you have him in your lineup, he could possibly go for 40 plus points. And the fact that the Niners have so many weapons and they still find a way to feed him the ball is impressive. He had the label as injury prone, and so far this year he's gone the whole year without a major injury. Now week 18 this year, he does have a mild calf strain. They already have everything locked up. There's no way they're going to play him anyway. I don't even think he's hurt. I think that if they needed him to play, he would. So the injury haters out there can't really say anything about this week 18 rest because most players are resting, but he has proved most haters and doubters wrong because he's played every single game with the Niners and scored a touchdown in nearly every single game, whether it's on the ground or through the air. So he has to be the consensus number one overall pick in almost every single PPR league. And if he's not, what kind of league are you even in right now? I can't see anybody making an argument for anyone other than Christian McCaffrey. Age-wise, he's still in his prime. He's shown no signs of slowing down age-wise. Performance-wise, the team is stacked. I don't think he's going to fall outside of the top 3. He's going to go number 1 in almost every single league I can think of.
Sure, I do wonder about the injury history, and that's something to consider. To just you got to draft him at number 1. Only one person gets the first pick anyway, right? So like everybody else has to pick after that person. You might be the 12th pick in the league. So
the injury-prone reputation for Christian McCaffrey is vastly overstated. It's a false narrative. The injuries that he's had are just unique one-off injuries. It's not like he's got, I don't want to jinx him, it's not like he's got like nagging hamstring problems or nagging knee problems. They've all been like one-time injuries that he recovers from and comes back.
I digress. He's a great player, and we're going to pick him number 1 if we get the chance. You hear that, Jeremiah? You're not going to get him number 1. We're going to get, well, let me
just, the only way you don't win with Christian McCaffrey is if you forget to put him in your starting lineup. And if that happens, you're going to lose your matchup and you're going to lose your spot in the league because you're not going to get invited back again the next year. If you have McCaffrey, and I don't care if you're in Germany or wherever you are, there's internet in Germany. If you got McCaffrey, he's got to be in your lineup, man.
Yeah,
what are you
Auf Wiedersehen, bis nächstes Jahr oder nix. Dave, we got to wrap this baby up. You see what I did there? So if you haven't already, then please do like and subscribe. Let's get more subscribers and we have videos. That's the real goal.
What I really want is to listen to, the viewer's opinion here. If you disagree with our picks here for the mock 2024 first round draft results, I'd like to hear if you think you could have done it better. Who would you knock out of the first round and who would you put in the first round?
I bet TJ and his dad have something to say about this.
Let me just say, I can see someone making the argument for other running backs, but here's the thing. Running backs burned a lot of people in the first round this year, and people are going to remember that. Austin Eckler, you got him in the first round, he burned you. Bijan Robinson, you got him in the first round, possibly burned you. He had a good season, but he had two awful games and 3 total terrible games. So that would make someone be a little bit hesitant because he was not as consistent. And he's also playing for the Falcons. And then you got a guy like Nick Chubb. He was a first round pick. He's not going to be a first round pick again. So I feel like a lot of the running backs who were first round picks in 2023 are not going to repeat as 2024 first round picks.
It's going to be different for sure, and it always is. Every year it's different. You read up on all that kind of stuff.
2024 is the year of the wide receiver. I'm calling it now.
Okay, good. You heard it here first. Dave called it the year of the wide receiver. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time on the Birdies podcast.